The United States Supreme Court is unique in its jurisdiction considering that the justices have the capacity to choose which cases they will review and issue an opinion on. The courts, though, are limited because justices cannot decide to hear a case unless it is brought to them by a litigant with substantial evidence to prove standing to sue. Annually, the courts get about 8,000 requests or petitions for writ of certiorari, for cases to be heard on appeal and for the justices to issue an opinion on upon the conclusion of the hearing. An opinion is the legal reasoning behind the decision of the justices. The content of the opinion is typically the most prestigious part of the case as it creates precedents and sets guidelines for lower courts. In most Supreme Court cases, decisions are made on the basis of precedents established in previous cases. This is known as stare decisis. Decisions of the court are typically made on the basis of the Constitution and laws written and passed by Congress. While justices base decisions on constitutionality, there are sometimes disagreements about what exactly the Constitution says. Different justices have varying interpretations of the text. Ideals that contrasts include originalism and developmentalism. Justices who disagree with the opinion of the court can write a dissenting opinion making a legal argument for their standpoint.
How does a case make it to the Supreme Court? Most cases reach the Supreme Court on appeal. The court does have original jurisdiction in cases involving foreign ambassadors or citizens of a foreign nation, and in cases involving a state as a plaintiff. In this case, the defendant is appealing the case to the Supreme Court after being rejected by the Ninth Circuit Court in California. In the U.S., the judicial system is like a three-layered cake: district courts, the 13th Court of Appeals, and finally the Supreme Court.
Good morning, Justices. Today we'll be examining the case concerning death row inmate Kevin Cooper. Mr. Cooper was charged of 4 counts of murder in 1983, killing 2 adults and 2 children. Mr. Cooper is currently 60 years old and has gone through several appeals since his 1983 conviction. If pled guilty, Mr. Cooper will be the first prisoner in the state of California since 2006 to be executed. Along with Mr. Cooper claiming his innocence, many other supporters believe that the case has unclear issues, including DNA evidence, inadequate defense during trial, racially biased injustice from the San Bernardino County Sheriff. We will proceed and re-examine the case to decide whether we shall take this case to the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Madam Chief Justice. The first factor we must consider when deciding whether or not to take a case is if 2 or more courts have conflict over similar issues in the case. After viewing the writ of certiorari, records from lower courts reveal that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals refused to rehear the case, with Judge William A. Fletcher stating that the county sheriff framed Mr. Cooper. Along with this, at least 10 other federal judges have comparing concerns about Mr. Cooper's arrest.
In addition to these records, there have also been filings of amicus curiae briefs. According to this, many legal experts and longtime human rights advocates state that it is the most well-documented and well-supported matter of wrongful convictions they have ever seen. According to Mr. Cooper's records, it reveals that he had previously filed a petition to the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights, the IACHR, alleging human rights violations in his persecution. The IACHR released a report that found 8 separate due process violations in Cooper's prosecution, trial, and sentencing. Upon this demonstrates a clear violation of Cooper's civil liberties and civil rights. Justice Sotomayor will add more to this issue.
Thank you, Justice Ginsburg. All this ties to one important fact that revolves around the case. Along with Mr. Cooper's attorney, many legal experts and other supporters all agree that there had been a connection to racial bias and ties to Cooper's conviction. From the writ of cert, there have been evidence that saying the murderers may have been white males. Testimony proves that the sheriff deputy destroyed evidence that was linked to another suspect. Yet many believe that Mr. Cooper was convicted largely due to him being a black male. Many believe that this is demonstrating the broken justice system in the United States.
Thank you, Justice Sotomayor. Is there any additional information to Mr. Cooper's case?
Thank you, Justices. I do not have anything to add. As of now, Mr. Cooper and his attorney request for new DNA testing that can add new evidence to prove Cooper's innocence was denied by Governor Jerry Brown.
Okay, so after reviewing all the parts of the case, who votes to not be the case? Okay, now who votes to be the case? Thank you.
The court has decided to hear Cooper's case. A writ of cert has been granted. This means that an oral argument will be presented during the 2-week cycles that are scheduled annually from the first Monday in October until June. The decision to try the case is based on a principle known as the Rule of 4, which is the guideline that establishes that at least 4 justices must agree to issue an opinion on the case. The justices' opinions, though, are limited by the Constitution and the law, and going beyond the scope of that federal jurisdiction is called judicial activism. In Cooper's case, there were several factors that gave it an advantage in the screening process, starting with the fact that Kevin claims he has been denied a fair trial because he is African American. Racial minorities in America are considered protected classes, which means that strict scrutiny is applied to issues concerning these groups. Furthermore, the case is being appealed from a district court that very publicly denied a request for an appeal.